Cap has fallen. What are we going to do? Welcome to a Fifth of Jack Gaming, where we're going to end up talking about the newest entry. Well, not the newest, the next entry of our Captain America run. Yes, I know it's been a little bit since we finished the first one, which was Captain America. And if this is the first time you tune in, we're reading Ed Brubaker's run of Captain America. That is 5 different volumes. We got one down, and we got another one down with the death of Captain America. I know there's spoilers that comes along with it. I believe this is a direct market cover, so that's kind of a little solid. The spine and the back. So a little bit about this book. It ends up collecting Captain America issues 25 through 42. It's by Ed Brubaker, illustrated by Steve Epting, and Mike Perkins, and Roberto Del Toro. And it's a solid book. I think it was like, it's a smaller book. I want to say it was like 400 pages or something like that. Some crazy number. But it is a nice installment that comes along with that. And we'll end up spoiling that, goes over with it. Like I said, this is number 2 out of 5. So that's kind of exciting. And with that said, let's talk about organic price books, where you could end up ordering books like this over at a little discount price where you can use the code AFIFAJACK to save $2 off. Or if you happen to have 4 or more books, you can use the code Jack Together to save 5% off your entire order instead. It has some bomb-proof shipping, and it's a nice way to be able to help the channel. These codes are evergreen, so you can use them whatever you end up wanting. Orders of $30 or more ends up getting free shipping, and that's an awesome way because it's going to be quite easy to end up doing that. So, what the game plan is that we're going to crack that book open, go over through it, then we'll have our final thoughts about the book itself. So this is where I'm going to be saying spoilers is going to be going through, because right when we have the little voiceovers, we're going to end up spoiling some of the book. That way you can end up, well, hearing what ends up happening. All right, so we have a nice dust cover. You can obviously see that pretty nicely, but we're going to take off the dust cover. Where we have the looks of the book. Obviously, this is catching the front of the book of itself, of the dust cover. Spine looks the same, but then the back also has the alternate cover that they ended up having on the back as well. Death of Captain America. A nice breakdown of the different stories that you end up having. Costume design is actually by Alex Ross. Captain America, created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Good old classic of Jack Kirby. So, like I said, we're going to end up having spoilers that we're going to go along with it. It's going to be either the art that's going to be going over, or we'll end up giving spoilers with a nice little voiceover that we're going to end up having. With that said, let's get the party started! We started off getting the highlights from what was the previous book, how that ended up, and eventually getting a little bit of a background of the events that happened a little bit more in depth. Where Steve Rogers did end up getting shot by crossbones, but it was actually Agent Carter that was brainwashed that actually ended up taking out Steve Rogers. You find out she's been programmed, aka brainwashed, just like Bucky has been as well. But the guilt still kicks in and kicks her butt throughout the entire series. Flashing back to the other side of the coin, this is going to be where Red Skull is the mainstay into the storyline. The alter ego is taking a backseat throughout this book. There's going to be a periodically where we're going to be seeing the alter ego of the Red Skull. We find out that the only person that was able to make the funeral was Falcon. The good old trusty Falcon, friends of every hero out there. The unregistered heroes weren't able to end up making it because obviously they'll be causing mischief and everything, and they didn't want to be tarnishing Cap's memory. Then we go through with Bucky trying to struggle with the entire loss of him, trying to make sure that they keep track of their original shield, and eventually, spoiler alert, he ends up becoming Captain America himself, picking up the mantle. This was an event that happened a little bit later into the book, about halfway, where Tony Stark ended up getting a letter from a lawyer friend of Steve Rogers, saying to help Bucky and to make sure that he keeps it going, and there's always a need for a Captain America. He shares this with Bucky, and this is where Bucky ends up becoming Captain America and tries carrying the mantle of Captain America and struggles with the thought process of what Cap would do and how he'll end up doing it. But that is too far forward for where we're at. We end up seeing and finding out that Agent 13, aka Agent Carter, is pregnant with the kid of Steve Rogers. And there's a big thing that goes on back and forth. You end up having a big fight between Sen, who is Red Skull's daughter, and they end up going over with it eventually, duking it out, where Agent Carter ends up having it be stabbed into the stomach area and being said that she lost the kid. But again, that's something that's going to be a little bit later into the book itself. We end up finding the process of Winter Soldier trying to find the ways and going over with it, trying to figure out and find a Red Skull and trying to make sure he can be able to take it, to be only shocked when he does get that moment to find out that he's still brainwashed. In this book, we're also exposed to the love interest of Black Widow with Bucky Barnes, and we also do get some history flashbacks that came along within the book. Talking about history, we end up finding out about the invaders, who include Captain America, Bucky, Namor, Human Torch, and Firestarter. Going over with that, and we also learn about the ways that Captain America, what ended up being found, being an icicle. We find out that the Red Wing is actually an actual bird, and we carry on and we finish it off with having a character that's right. Oh, when we find out that there's a bunch of brainwashing going on, it's a common theme that's going on throughout the book, a common practice that you'll be finding out with the Red Skull and back in the time. And then we end up ultimately flashing or coming back over to a Captain America who has a shield, a different costume, and a nice old gun over at his side. A little mixture of Winter Soldier and Captain America. All right, so welcome back. What we ended up having is having an awesome experience that we had with this. Like I said during the overview section, there was events that ended up happening. Someone ends up picking up the mantle of Captain America. I'll try and keep this part as spoiler-free as I can, because the spoilers already went behind the wall over that way. We did end up having some good progression that came over with it, and honestly, I love the story. It did pick up right off where the last volume bled off with. So that was kind of a little nice little pick me up. And if you didn't end up reading it or reading it how we're reading it back to back, that gives you an option to be able to be refreshed real quick of how the last volume ended up. And that's an awesome job and a nice way to end up making the book. Now, I'm going to say I love the book. And what would I give a book? Well, I'll give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm loving the story that's going over with it. Granted, it is not like the epic unicorn thing, but I'm loving what we have story-wise and the development that we're having with this and the introduction of the storylines that they end up coming over to. It's kind of neat having Tony Stark in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. when you get so used to Nick Fury being in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and seeing the fallout that he ends up having with choices that's going on, stuff that's sort of coming over with it, and how Cap does something from the grave and being able to still influence the world, and it's still pretty heavily influenced throughout this entire book. So I would strongly suggest picking it up. So what does that mean? Well, that means we slide on over to the 3rd volume where Captain America lives. This is going to be the next book that's going to be up. We started this book earlier today, and I'm excited to be able to see it. Like I said, my goal is to already read all 5 of them. I was going to try and get it done in the month of July. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get that done, but I am going to make sure I do end up getting it completed, because this is one of those projects that once you start it, you got to end up finishing it. And I'm super excited for it. I'm super excited to have you guys ride with me along with the way. Thank you for watching, and if you're liking the content we're putting out, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon to be notified whenever we come out with new content. Also, let us know what you end up thinking about it. Have you read this book, or have you read the series? Without spoilers, what do you think? And until next time, we'll see you later.